and Common Council meeting Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. All aldermen and women are present. Please join with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. All right, I'd be looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda. Moved, is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that moves us into mayor business. So we want to, tonight, I want to just honor two different groups of people for some really cool stuff that has gone on. Catherine, our director of the Adult Community Senior Center, was recently awarded the Edison Bell Einstein Invention Award, which is, I think, the coolest sounding award ever. You had to have your name with those three, right? For inventing the pop-up music event for the seniors in the city of Port Washington this year. She was recognized by her professional association like 2 weeks ago, right? This past Thursday. And I just asked her to come tonight so we could thank you for all that you do for the seniors in Port Washington, and now statewide recognition to ensure that we're doing innovative things for our seniors. So, yeah, if you want to step up and you can tell us a little bit about it, that'd be great, Catherine.
So this is the plaque.
Can you turn that down?
Yep, it even says that. So this is a plaque we received, so it was very exciting to receive it in my position as the program manager for the Division of Senior Services. And there was one other award this year in this category that went to the city of Janesville for a veterans program that they did. So it was very exciting to receive it because we have, a lot of submissions around the state, and it was a new event, and the couple retired directors, this was the 40th year for the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers. So just a brief history. One of the founding directors was the predecessor to myself, Ria Ivanovich. So she was a founding partner for the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers. So the 40th year, it was kind of cool to get an award. So I want to thank the city and the council for their support, and of course our membership for turning out for the events that we do, and the staff that supports me and the volunteers. So this is not done by me alone, but certainly fun to get the recognition and share it with everybody. So thank you, Mayor, for having me tonight.
Yeah, and thank you. And I think the council would agree. We just appreciate, innovation for our seniors, and as we continue to work for some sort of a solution to bring a more respectful environment for the seniors with a better facility. We just appreciate your efforts on those pieces, and of course, winning the Edison Bell Einstein Award only helps that cause.
It is a mouthful.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's very impressive. So we're very grateful, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the next one is I invited the director of Paint on Port and Port Main Street tonight, and she's with us. So if you want to step up to the microphone there. I just wanted to, on behalf of the council again, recognize and thank you. We had worked with Main Street, the council had passed under our recommendation to use some of our federal assistance funds to kind of begin a beautification program for the city of Port Washington. And you guys took those seed funds, did some pretty cool stuff with it, and now we've got multiple murals all over the city, and the journey has just begun. So I wanted to give you a minute to kind of share with us the same great update you did at Main Street, if possible, and brief, and then share some other pieces.
Sure.
So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I want to thank the city first before I get started, so I don't forget, for the seed money and really for the support of the arts this year to get this program off the ground. Without that support, we really couldn't have done anything or done what we've done. So overall, it was 7 months since we hit the ground running on the mural program this year, and we put 5 murals up. Hopefully all of you have seen them all. The first one was the Twisted Willow mural mosaic that kind of launched the program, and then we have the one on Uselding's wall, We have the one at the back of Yummy Bones, the one on Grand Avenue on the Gray Building, the very bright floral one, and then the People's Wall, which is what we call it, which is also on Grand Avenue at the Yamaha Port retention wall. The mural committee early on decided we wanted to do one community project each year, and so that was our first launch of community project. If you don't know about that wall, that was done under the direction of an artist on the committee, but the artists that actually painted the mural to the large extent were adults with disabilities from Balance and Prime Horizon for that wall. And it was a huge success. We really rallied a lot of community members and volunteers, and a lot of different organizations came out and helped us it was about 2 months painting that wall with them. So it was really a great project. Overall, we spent $50,000 for those 5 pieces, which was a little more than we thought we were going to spend, but we learned a lot in the first year. Murals are not as easy as just putting paint on the wall. So a lot of wall prep and different things that cost a little bit. But we did do fundraising to the tune of almost $19,000. So at the end of the day, we're in the green about $3,000 rolling into the next year. So we're really excited about that. We had 11 committee members who were very active, and this was a very busy committee. Everyone had jobs, and they were great. So I want to thank all the committee members, too, for everything they did. Rolling into year 2024, we're already working on a couple projects. The first one is the mural walk experience. So each mural will have a plaque. Some of them already do, with a QR code. And when you scan the QR code, it's going to take you to a little history of the artist and the mural, and it'll be a walk experience, so you can go from one mural to the next throughout the city. So we'll continue that as we add murals, adding that piece of it. So we're working on parts of that right now, and the other part is the student wall is going to be our community wall next year. So the Jackson Street retaining wall, across from the police station, not the whole wall, it's 3,400 square feet. We're going to do about 1,300 square feet of it. And that's going to be led by Sherry Kulchin, who is a retired teacher. She just retired in May, so we put her to work right away. Anyway, she's going to be working as the school liaison with the teachers at the school to get this project going. And it's going to be for elementary all the way through high school. There'll be different aspects, obviously, for the younger kids and versus the older art students in high school. We do have a group of artists working with them. I think it's going to be a really, really high quality product. It will be mixed media, so we're going to have some paint on the wall. We're going to use this product called Polytab, but for lack of a better explanation, it's like parachute cloth, where they can actually work on elements of the mural in the classroom, and then we put it on the wall, similar to like a wallpaper. But it's it'll last a long time. And then the younger kids are going to be doing little mosaics and making different leaves out of mosaic that the older kids will fire and glaze. And so there's a mosaic piece that they're going to add to, so they'll have leaves all over the tree that will be their contribution. So we're already busy working with that. We've got a couple meetings, and we have a meeting with the school August 27th to coordinate, all of the work we're going to be doing from a classroom perspective. And we hope to raise some more money this year. So if you know anybody that wants to donate to the arts, that project's going to cost quite a bit, the student wall. So we're looking to fundraise to do at least 2 more murals on different areas. We haven't picked the walls yet. We are going to meet the 25th, I think it is, or the 27th of this month to review the wall selections, as well as get a strategy to how to move forward if we do 2 more, what artists we'll use, and whether we do a call for artists like we did the first year, or maybe do, I think what we're leaning towards is more of a targeted approach, kind of this is what we're looking for, and then target 3 or 4 artists to give us design submissions, and not as big. The first call for artists went out to 135 people and organizations. It was a lot of work, but we did get 50 design submissions. So I don't think we're going to take something on that big because I think we have a better idea of kind of the direction we want to go with the murals in year 2 anyway, so.
And if people want to support it and donate, they go on to Paint on Port on Facebook or?
Yeah, they can go to the website, Downtown Port website. There's a link for the Paint on Port mural program, and in there's a donor page that they can click on. They can also contact Christina from Main Street or myself, and we're happy to meet with anybody and talk about the program and give them any information that they want. A lot of you also know probably Judy Cotter, who did a lot of work on Heart of the Harbor. She's heading up fundraising, so she's on our committee, and so her and I will be doing meetings with people as well, which we did the first year too, so.
Well, and Christina's here. We just want to thank you for taking the vision that we had kind of laid out, beautifying Port Washington. I mean, in a month, we suddenly became a destination for what was a few blighted walls in town, and people came, and Main Street did a really nice job with the promotion. And
Yeah.
I mean, Port Washington really shined this summer, not just in the media, but with community engagement and involvement. And the only thing I would ask you continue to do, because I think it's fantastic, is the opportunities for the community to engage and be involved in the People's Wall and now the Students' Wall. Those just different elements bring a much higher level of ownership to our city and community.
Right.
And, you know, it was fun the night that we cut the ribbon or had the grand opening, and having all of the different families and young men and women, especially those who had disabilities or challenges, walk you up and explain what they got to paint and what the story
Right.
was behind it. And it'll be nice to be able to do that too, because as we've now seen with people coming from all over the country to visit the mosaic
Right.
on the side of Twisted Willow, the young men and young women who will get to participate in painting the student wall will forever, as long as it stands, you know, bring their friends over, drive past it and say, I was part of that.
Right.
So we're really, really grateful for that. And we appreciate the stewardship with the dollars that were given. And it, I think, exceeded our expectations. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you for all your support.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, and then the last thing is just as a reminder, we're currently in the recruitment process for our city administrator position. The position was posted. We are currently doing the screening and review process. Personnel committee met this evening to review some of the process pieces, but then on the 23rd, we're going to narrow it down to the finalists. Personnel committee then will bring finalists to the council on November 13th, and then the interviews, on the 23rd, the council will review the finalists. We will be interviewing on the 13th and hopefully making recommendations. The council will review the top 3 on the 30th of November. And then the last thing is, councilmen and women, hanging on your microphones is just a little reminder of the fun that our city got to have a couple weeks ago with your flamingos. I will not be bringing forward recommendations to rename streets or beaches or the lake. So there's been a lot of different fun things that have been put out there, but hopefully those poor little birds can make their way home. All right, there's nothing under officer and staff reports. So at this point, if there's any public comments or appearances, please step to the microphone. Any public comments or appearances?
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Kendall D. Filan, 648 Evergreen Terrace. Just a bit of confusion in my elder mind. When you did the intro of the folks at the front earlier this evening, you said aldermen and women, and is not in the current ordinances the term older person for our city representatives? And I thank you.
Sure. Yes.
So maybe we can get some federal money and make new name tags or something.
Thank you. All right, from General Standing Council Committees, General Government and Finance Committee, first agenda item is consideration and possible action on a Class beer license for Mercantile Merch LLC, DBA Mercantile Plaza, 211 Franklin Street. The staff recommendation is that the clerk has reviewed and approved the application, required supporting documentation. All required fees have been paid, and the background record check was completed and approved by the police chief. The recommended motion is to approve the original Class B beer license. Ms. Westerbeek.
This particular location is in the Burner Building downtown on Franklin Street, previously occupied by Zuzu Pedals, which closed about a year ago at this point. So this individual is starting up a new business there that will welcome the public to come in. They will have artwork present for people to view, along with other community partners that will have products there to look at as well, and a gathering place basically for the public downtown. So this request is for a beer license so that they can serve product there for consumption on premise. And everything is in order and has been approved, and I'm recommending approval this evening. Do you have any questions?
Any questions or concerns? Mr. Planer?
I will move to approve the original Class B beer license.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All right, any questions or concerns on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It'll be very exciting that that building will have life in it again. All right, the next agenda item is presentation and possible action on a report on financing for the 2023-2024 General Fund capital improvements. The issue is the Wisconsin Public Finance Professionals LLC is going to present the report on their financing for the general obligation capital improvement projects through the issuance of $6 million in general obligation notes. Staff recommends that the council permit staff to continue working with Wisconsin Public Finance LLC to complete the debt issuance for finance. There is no action at this time. Mark?
Staff has been working with our financial consultant, identifying the work that has been done so far this year and the prospective work we've got lined up for next year. These items need to be funded. We believe that the proposal will satisfy the city's needs in that regard, and we'll defer any additional comments to Carol Worth.
Excellent. All yours.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to go through my presentation. I do have a couple of extra hard copies if anybody would like one, but otherwise I'll just move through the presentation, okay? All right, so the first page is the list of projects that are going to be funded. There's the 2023 projects listed by category and dollar amount, and also the proposed 2024 projects. And again, the list does exceed $6 million, but that is fine because they're going to be accomplished in different orders. So as the need arises beyond the $6 million, then those projects would be funded with the next time the city issues debt. Page 2 is, again, reviewing the fact that you're doing this borrowing under Wisconsin statute for issuance of general obligation notes. The benefit that brings to the city is that the city can commingle the funds between the projects and expend the funds according to the actual cost of each project. The sources and uses of funds shown on page 2 includes 2 sources: the amount of notes the city will issue at $6 million, and then an estimated reoffering premium, which occurs in the marketing of the bonds between the underwriter and the investor. So it's an estimated number now, it can come in higher or lower when we actually are in the bond market. So those 2 dollar amounts are then expended for, number 1, the deposit into the construction fund, which at this time is $6 million. The premium is basically, some of it is held back by the underwriter to pay all expenses associated with the financing, and that would include our fee, bond counsel, rating, and underwriting costs. Any dollars not used for that purpose is sent back to the city. That money can only be used to pay debt service, to offset your tax levy for debt service. Okay, so that $139,857 on page 2 is going to show up again on the next page. So page 3 is the structure of the notes. The principal is repaid on March 1st of 2024 through 33. Coupon or interest rate at this time, the way it is shown, is a very typical couponing structure in the marketplace where there's all 5% interest rates and then 4% on the last 2 years, which will be the 2 years that are going to be subject to prepayment the year before. Then the coupons against the principal generate the estimated interest column, and then the interest and principal generates the 2023 notes total estimated debt service column. Then you will see the column to the right of that is the city purposes existing debt service. Again, this is only the debt service for the borrowings that have support by the tax levy. This is not your tax increment district financings. This is not your marina purposes, so it is strictly tax levy supported debt. So when we combine the existing with the estimate for the 23 notes, we get the column to the far right, which is the combined number. So you'll see that starting in the year 2023, the number was $3,346,000. And then in 24, it's $3,853,000 and so on. So that increase, okay, is going to be offset by that premium. So that example from page 2 of $139,000 would reduce that difference. So that difference would come down to $367,253. If you divide that number by your estimated 23 assessed value, you would get a tax rate of about 28 cents per thousand, which would be your impact of the new debt increase. And that would be $28 for every $100,000 of assessed property value. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're structuring your debt at the same time taking into consideration future debt that the city may be undertaking within the next 5 years, so that as your debt issuance increases, you're going to have increases in your debt service levy, but we're going to try and do it at small increments rather than going from a low increment and then shooting straight up to a high increment. So we're going to try to manage that increase from year to year. Okay, so that's the rationale behind that. Page 4 is our pricing schedule, and we monitor this page for market conditions. The yield column on this page is the market. So I took the market as of September 22nd when I was preparing this report. I did check on the 10-year Treasury as of today, and just in the 10th year, there is a difference of up to 20 basis points from higher than what is on this page. Now, that doesn't mean every single amount is up 20 basis points, but every time you see the Federal Reserve take action on increasing rates, it definitely goes right to years 1 and 2. It starts to then decrease when you get beyond that, but then you can see just by the yield column on this page, the inverted yield curve, right? The higher rates that are in years 1 and 2, you see them back down again in years 9 and 10, and then a little bit lower in between. Okay, so that's what we're going to monitor to determine when I can report back to you on what the actual sale results are going to be when we do enter the marketplace, right? We're going to know if the market itself increased or decreased, and that will be determined by that yield column. The investors buy bonds at a premium. So you'll see that in the price column, which is a little bit right of center there. Anything over 100 means they're paying you more than $100 for $100 worth of bonds. That activity generates the dollar price column on the far right-hand side. So when you see the bottom total of $6,274,000, you're selling $6 million of bonds. So that means you're getting $274,000 of premium in this example. The underwriter will keep whatever is required to pay the expenses, and whatever is left over has to come back to the city and can only be deposited into debt service to offset your levy. All of that activity produces a true interest cost, which is the last line on this page, and that is a 411. Okay, so again, it's an estimate. It was a real good estimate on September 22nd. So now we're just going to go through the volatility of the marketplace, and we will see how we turn out once we are in the marketplace. Okay. And the last page is the timeline. After today, the next step would be for the council to take action on what's called a parameters resolution. And this is a resolution that is typically adopted and contains the terms of the bonds, and it would award the bonds to the winning bidder once we take the bids. This particular resolution will give the authority to the city administrator on the day that we take bids to complete a document that's called an approving certificate that will award the bonds to that underwriter on that day. So that gives us the flexibility of selling the bonds on any day in the marketplace, not just tied to a council meeting date. That parameters resolution will include specific parameters that need to be achieved in order for that approving certificate to be signed by the city administrator. And it'll be the terms when your principal is paid, a not to exceed dollar amount. It'll have a not to exceed interest rate and other features. So that's your next step on October 17th. We are preparing you to go enter the marketplace with the official statement, which is like basically a prospectus on the city. And we are also going to do a rating presentation to Moody's in request for our bond rating. And this is something that we go through every time we do a debt issuance. So that is set for October 26th. We are then going to be receiving a credit opinion from Moody's that will also go out into the marketplace. And we will receive bids on November 8th that morning. And the city administrator would then award the notes by that afternoon. And then the funds would all be delivered to the city on November 28th. And you receive all of the money at one time so that as you are spending the money, it can be invested. You can invest it at any yield as long as you meet the federal requirements for how you're spending the money. And right now, the investment rate should be higher than what your borrowing rate is, and that hasn't been the case for many years, where you actually would earn positive arbitrage. Okay? So with that, questions?
Arbitrage, challenge, use it in a sentence. It's a counting class. Any questions on the process moving forward? Finance has reviewed it. Excellent. Thank you.
No, thank you.
As always, we appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, that moves us into the next agenda item then. Mark, anything else to add?
No, it's pretty straightforward. Next agenda item, of course, staff recommends the engaging Wisconsin public finance professionals with the issuance of these $6 million general obligation notes.
I appreciate that. So that's the agenda item. It's been reviewed. The staff recommendation is to engage Wisconsin Public Finance. Any questions or concerns? Otherwise, Jonathan?
I'd move to approve staff's recommendation.
There's a motion by Alderman Pleitner. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. All right. Any questions or concerns on the motion? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Excellent. Thank you. All right, from the Personnel Committee, consideration and possible action on grade changes for Finance Director, Management Analyst, and Police Department Executive Assistant positions. Should the Common Council approve grade changes for the Finance Director, Management Analyst, and Police Department Executive Assistant positions, the staff recommends Common Council approve grade changes for the Finance Director, Management Analyst, and Police Department Executive Assistants. And we'll turn it over to Emily.
Sorry for the mouthful there. So the city engaged with GovHR in June of 2022 to complete a class and compensation study. This body approved that study in January of this year, which included grading of each of our jobs. When the study was conducted, the finance director and management analyst roles specifically were vacant. So those job analysis questionnaires that were completed during that study were not filled out. So we graded those to the best of our ability. But now that they are filled with employees, we have noticed that better information is available about where those positions should be graded. So we have rescored those positions, and the finance director position would score into a grade 11, which is one step up from grade 10. The management analyst scored into a grade 4, one step up from grade 3. And then in regards to the police department executive assistant, that was an oversight in the initial grading. The police department executive assistant and the record clerk manager scored the same, but they were mistakenly placed in 2 separate grades. So this would place the police department executive assistant into her correct grade at grade 5, which is one above where she currently sits at grade 4. The personnel committee did recommend the motion unanimously to council. And the recommended motion would be I move to accept staff's recommendation. I am happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions or concerns?
Yeah, before I make a motion, I guess I say that there's no financial impact to the city as a result of the change.
Correct. All of the individuals in these current roles are already making within the new grade bands.
And I would move to accept staff's recommendation.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
You two are on fire tonight. Any questions or concerns for the Emily? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, excellent. Thank you, Emily, for that, and as well for the work of the committee. All right, the next it comes from the Planning Commission, consideration and possible action on a declaration of surplus land for 39.4 acres. The Common Council is being asked to officially declare the subject land as quote-unquote surplus as a necessary step necessary step prior to any possible future sale. Staff recommends to declare the subject property as surplus. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, the city has been an owner of a 39-acre parcel on the west end of the city, unofficially, or we refer to as the Shannon Farmland. There have been a number of developments that have been proposed on that site, but one due in part as the village of Saukville having the sewer rights to that land. Nothing was firmed up until just until last year when the DNR approved the city and Saukville's application for the sewer rights to be transferred from Saukville to the city of Port Washington. And then following that, just earlier this year, we issued an RFP for residential development on that land. And so, as noted, as any part of going forward with any future sale, a declaration of surplus is needed. Specifically, a common council must determine a municipal property is not needed for public use by way of a motion or resolution, which sets forth specific reasons why the council believes the property is no longer needed. And as part of that recommendation, a suggested motion provided by the city attorney is noted in your staff report. As noted again, staff recommends to declare it as surplus.
Any questions for Mr. Harris? Mr. Plainer?
Yep. One for me. Even if we declare this surplus land, Bob, there's nothing requiring the city to ultimately development as residential, right? It's just a declaration of surplus. We could still retain the rights here if we were so inclined.
That is correct, yeah.
Is there anyone willing to make the recommended motion?
I'll move to approve staff's recommendation.
All right. The recommended motion then is I move that the subject property is surplus property, which is not needed for any public purpose, and recommend that the property be sold or otherwise disposed of for the public good by reason of supporting the future land use recommendations of the City of Port Washington's comprehensive plan and increase local housing supply. Is there a second for that motion? Seconded. Any questions or concerns on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Takes us to unfinished business, which we don't have any of. I'm sorry, it does not. I got excited, Bob, I'm sorry. Second agenda item from the Planning Commission is consideration and possible action on a proposed condominium plat as part of the Maritime Industrial Condos development. Common Council is being asked to approve a required condominium plat for the subject development, and the staff recommendation from the Planning Commission is to approve the condominium plat. Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a development on the south northwest corner of South Park and Maritime Drive. This is a light industrial development consisting of up to 23 individually owned business and light manufacturing spaces. This was a rezoning request that was approved by this body in 2022. And the site and building plan was conditionally approved by the Plan Commission earlier this year. As part of that conditional approval, we do need a condominium plat, given that the individual units will be individually owned. And therefore, the condominium plat is required to determine ownership and assign tax keys for each unit. This went before the Plan Commission at its September meeting and was unanimously recommended with conditions. Those conditions are now reflected in the plat that's in front of the council tonight, and therefore staff recommends approval.
Any questions or concerns for Mr. Harris? I chaired that meeting, and we were in unified agreement on this, so.
It was a unanimous.
Yep. All right, is there a motion? There is a motion to approve the staff recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So seconded by Alderman Sigwart. So the motion is I move to approve the condominium plat as presented. Any questions or concerns on that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we have nothing under new unfinished business or no new business. So at this time, are there any public comments or appearances? Okay, seeing none, then I've got two different possible motions. Convene into closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, Section 1E, i.e. deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically for purposes of discussing and formulating negotiating strategies, including, without limitation, the terms and conditions for development of all or part of the approximately 39-acre parcel of city-owned vacant land, commonly known as the former Shannon Farm, located along the south side of State Highway 33, approximately 1/4 mile west of County Highway LL, tax parcel number 16-030-15-002-00. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. That requires an individual vote. Ward 1? Aye. Ward 2? Aye. Ward 3? Aye. Ward 4? Aye. Ward 5? Aye. Ward 6? Aye. Ward 7? Aye. The second motion to convene into closed session is to go into closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.851E for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public property, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, to wit, discuss preliminary discussions with landowner and financial and other terms and conditions of potential option to purchase vacant parcels of land and devising bargaining strategies regarding the terms and conditions of such purchase. Tax parcel number 16-30-13-017-00. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns on the motion? Seeing none, Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, Ward 6, Ward 7. We are now in closed session. Council, we will meet in 4 minutes in the lower chambers.